I am the son of a billionaire. Ask me anything. Very brief summary: I am 29 years old. My father is worth just shy of $2 billion, and he's on a rapid trajectory to be worth significantly more. I'll leave it at that and provide details as requested. I'll try to be as honest as possible, but obviously I'll be vague on identifiable details. I don't really have anyone to talk to about this because of the uniqueness of the situation, so it's cathartic to speak openly about a subject that's obviously a bit taboo. I'd like to talk about it because it helps me feel more connected, and hopefully it will offer perspective to anyone who has preconceived notions on the super rich. Not that I don't expect to validate some of the stereotypes. Ask away if you're interested. In sociology class the other day, we had an interesting discussion on how everyone seems to want to identify as being middle class. Poor people often say lower middle class, and people who make 100 to 600,000 a year call themselves high middle class. It almost appears that there's a stigma to being very wealthy. You even said it yourself in the description, that it is almost taboo to talk about being wealthy. I'm curious what your insight on this matter might be. For example, why do you think it's taboo to be rich? Have you experienced any resentment from people because of it? What's something about the super rich that you wish the other classes understood about you as a way to try to make them possibly resent you less? I don't like saying I'm rich because there's a huge risk of resentment. I feel like I should apologize for being the 1%. The sentiment is that the money shouldn't be ours, that it's a zero-sum game and we're stealing from the poor by being so rich. I don't want people hating my dad because of how much money he has. He worked his ass off to earn it, and it was all to provide for his family, as is the goal of most families. That he happened to earn a lot more in pursuit of that isn't something I think he should feel guilty for. He didn't take from the poor, he just had a lot of success. It's jarring for people to vilify him because his career just happened to earn him an extreme amount of wealth. This is not to suggest that he's better than those who had less financial success. There's obviously luck and good timing contributing to where he is today. Resenting me I could understand more, because I did jack squat to earn it. But by the same token, I didn't choose this, so I don't think I should be vilified for something I effectively have no control over. Do your nearest and dearest know your worth, potential or otherwise? Money never made the man, so describe yourself and your interests. Do you like toast? Do you despise cauliflower? Are you indifferent to Scrabble? Well, obviously my wife knows. We have one pair of friends who at least know my parents are very wealthy, since they've stayed with us at one of their properties. Everyone else, hopefully, assumes we have little more than the middle-class lifestyle that we provide for ourselves. Toast. Love it. Cauliflower. My wife's good at disguising it. Love Scrabble, but I am better at the fast-paced games. I'm about as stereotypical as a Redditor comes, white male, introverted gamer. I didn't have much ambition of my own and will almost certainly never match the enormous success that my father has had. That leads to a lot of overwhelming guilt in my day-to-day life. Wait, so does your father not share his wealth with you? We enjoy their material assets, get awesome gifts for Christmas, and each have a trust fund of $28,000 a year. But to have a comfortable life and income, we have to have our own jobs. For now, at least. What's that one thing you never got as a kid? A gaming console. Or as my dad affectionately referred to it, the Super No Friendo. Somehow computer games didn't fall into that purview though, so I had a top-end desktop and laptop anyway. Didn't stop me from being obsessed with gaming. The PS2 was the first purchase I made when I started getting my own paycheck. Seems like even though you had connections to wealth, it wasn't used as a magic wand to get you shiny things all the time. Did you learn the value of money and earning over just having money? Sort of. We, my siblings and I, certainly didn't have carte blanche, and I'm self-sufficient currently outside of a growing and accessible trust fund, but they have a what's mine is yours mentality when it comes to enjoying their homes and possessions, which are plentiful. As we speak, my wife and I are staying in one of their massive homes for a stress-free weekend, and everything from the cars to the cook is at our disposal. These days I've never asked for something that they've said no to, but I've never tried to push the limits. Are the other homes always staffed even if your family isn't there, or is it a more on-call situation? Some of the properties are quite large and require constant upkeep. One is on a farm and has a family living on the property. The husband and wife handle the land and home maintenance, respectively. Some of the properties are in city high-rises and have building staff to take care of them. Then they have their main guy. I have no idea what his official title is, but he's effectively a modern butler valet who almost always travels with them and handles arrangements to keep their flow as uninterrupted as possible. He also lives in a home provided by my family, right next to one of their hub properties. Do you have any regular friends now? What's a Friday night like for you? My wife and I are shut-ins and will spend most evenings just watching shows and playing video games together. When we meet up with friends, we meet at the pub or go to one of each other's houses. A couple times we have taken some friends up to one of my parents' properties, but only after we've come to know them quite well. But generally, unless I'm with my parents at the time, I live a very standard middle-class lifestyle. How did you two meet? High school sweethearts. Playing video games. I have to ask, what do you play? We play special billionaire-only games that you wouldn't have heard about. Kidding. We just wrapped up Dishonored 2 and are currently replaying the BioShock trilogy. Something I've always wondered, if your internet or cable or phone or whatever ever goes down, do you, or whoever would do that for you, call the regular helpline of whatever company services your connection, or is there a special super secret, high priority line you would have access to? I work for an ISP running phone support, and I'm curious as to whether I may inadvertently get someone famous on the line one of these days. I actually wouldn't know, because almost all of those things are handled by one person who is directly employed by my parents. We tell him what he wants or what's wrong, and he makes it happen. My parents don't need to know how. What kind of schools did you go to? Were your peers wealthy? What do you do for a living? I went to a private school for grade school, a boarding school for high school, and then private university, which I eventually dropped out of. Since the familial wealth grew as I did, the peer group evolved over time, but I never understood the extent of their or our worth until recently. My perspective was more than a bit off growing up. As for my current job, I work a generic information technology position with a standard salary, nothing that will produce the kind of fortune my father's work has. Have you watched the documentary Born Rich? It's about other adult kids of billionaires. Some questions. At what point in your life did you realize that your parents are very, very rich? Do you think you grew up in a bubble, so to speak, unaware of things those of more modest wealth take for granted? Born Rich has been watched several times. As I mentioned in another comment, it's a rare opportunity to see the perspective of others with a similar upbringing. Far later than I probably should have. I didn't really realize just how out of touch I was until around 23 or 24. Granted, we were worth significantly less when I was younger, but still, many things that I took for granted were definitely not common. Did your father insist on a prenup for your wife to sign before marriage? How often do you speak to your mom? Which parent are you closer to? They suggested a prenup, but it didn't happen. My wife hates their wealth and wants no part in it, so I'm not concerned about her trying to run away with it. My relationship with them is complicated. I appreciate what they've provided, but the emotional connection has been poor. I wish I could feel closer to them, but I just don't think they're wired for that kind of relationship. Dad's a workaholic, Mom's a socialite. I'm the kid who didn't do everything perfectly and felt like the pariah for a decade. Things are better now, but conversations are rarely more than business and small talk. Are you any less miserable than we are? I have emotional problems like everyone else. But I don't have to worry about my paycheck, I don't have to worry about my retirement, I don't have to worry about supporting my child financially, I don't have to worry about a medical crisis ruining our family. There are so many burdens that I simply won't know. I wouldn't dare make a claim to the same sadness and difficulties that many people deal with. I don't believe you. I'm going to need you to PayPal me $50 for verification purposes. Please and thank you. For real though, what's a problem that billionaires have that we plebeians do not? Child of a billionaire, problems include rock-bottom self-esteem and endless guilt. As for my parents, their problems are a lack of time and a loss of perspective. Worst has probably been their focus on maintaining a social appearance, which has come at a significant cost in regards to their relationship with me and my siblings. They spend so much time these days trying to make our family seem perfect that they forget to do the actual things that keep a relationship strong. What do you do for work and why did you go into that field? I'm a computer systems administrator for a small company because it's what I enjoy and it doesn't require a large amount of non-immediate work. I didn't inherit my dad's strong ambition and drive, unfortunately. What would you do if your dad pulls out of your inheritance? As in, he donates all the money you're expecting and you get nothing. You get no stock options or whatever. Absolutely nothing. Given how he talks about it, I think that scenario is unlikely. And while there are circumstances out of their control, they're diversified to the point that it would take a significant global crisis to put it in jeopardy. That said, I would not blame him at all if he chose to donate it. It's his money. I'd be a little miffed that he talked it up perhaps, but I try not to hold the mentality that I'm entitled to the money. Does your family socialize with other billionaires? Or of any economic background? Absolutely. I would say that most of their friends have at least a 9-figure wealth, with the rare exceptions being childhood college friends that they befriended before they became so wealthy. I met so many rich and/or prominent individuals as a kid with no idea who they were until later. There have been multiple situations where they and their friends are literally trying to decide which private jet to take for their evening trip to the National Collegiate Athletic Association Championship game. It's a weird situation to say the least. Do you donate money? Or, since you're in it, fund some open-source software projects or features? My family has a foundation which provides $20 million in charitable contributions each year. It used to be just my parents handling it, but this year my siblings and I will get to participate and choose our own causes to be part of the donations. My parents may make additional donations beyond that, but that's our formal system for charity. Thank you for watching this video to the end. In the comments below the video, write what you think about this situation. And also be sure to subscribe to our channel to not miss new super interesting videos, and I advise you to watch our other videos.